A very warm welcome to the participants of the Proteomics Advanced Winter School 2021. Presented by Proteomics Lab, Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. Day 7. Recent Advances in MS-based Proteomics. Lecture 3. Introduction to the SWOT MS.
Please join me in welcoming Dr. Dipankar Malakar from SciEx. Dr. Dipankar completed his PhD in Biochemistry and Analytical Chemistry from the Indian Institute of Chemical Biology, Kolkata, in 2006. Today, he is working as Application Support Manager at Omics Division of SciEx India. He has more than 7 years of experience working with SciEx. He has several publications with collaborators in the fields of mass spectrometry in multiple peer-reviewed journals. With these words, we again invite Dr. Dipankar Malakar from SciEx to deliver his lecture. Thank you.
All right. So, Dr. Dipankar, please share your screen, and we are excited to hear your talk about some recent innovations, especially the SWOT technologies.
Okay. I think my screen is visible right now.
Yes.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. So I'll discuss about this SWOT data acquisition using high resolution mass spectrometry to answer many biological questions. So first of all, we need to know the basics of this SWOT technology. So I will go through that basic part. So MSMS all the SWOT is actually the full name of SWOT is sequential window acquisition of theoretical fragment ions. So or it is called MSMS all. So whatever molecule is coming from the LC, we can able to fragment all the molecules. That is the concept. From that this wording came. So it's actually a data independent workflow enabled by SciEx triple top or QTOP system technology that acquires high resolution MSMS data for all detectable analysis in a complex sample in a single run. So how does it work? The SWOT actually, if I compare with the IDA typical data dependent or information dependent acquisition, normally picks selected in a quadruple and then in a unit resolution with or high resolution with, and then the parent ion can be fragmented in a dedicated collision cell, and then the fragment can be analyzed in the analyzer. This result in MSMS spectrum. But in SWOT, but the difficulties for you may face difficulty, especially for very low abundant ions, or maybe somehow the filtering criteria used in the typical DDA or IDA approaches. There you may miss some of the apparent ion which may not undergo such kind of MSMS fragmentation. Now, in this, and another difficulty you may face is there is a dynamic exclusion criteria you need to apply in the data dependent mode. So the MSMS may not be acquired for the same particular parent ion for several times. So this can lead to less number of data point across the peak when you are doing quantitation using MSMS data in using the typical IDA mode. But in SWOT mode, to address these difficulties, what in the SWOT mode, the quadruple isolation window can be set fixed or variable, and then the ions coming from other molecule coming from the LC can be ionized at the beginning in the ion source, and then can be fragmented in the collision cell. Before the fragmentation in the quadruple, we can set the quadrupole in such a way, like the fixed mode or variable mode, it depends upon the user, then it can step across the a mass range and collecting the high resolution MSMS spectra in a chromatographic time scale. This can enable enough number of occurrence of MSMS for the same parent, and in a chromatographic scale, it is possible to get many number of data point across the peak, each of the fragment peak. So it is possible to generate the extracted ion chromatogram or XIC or EICs after the MSMS acquisition in the processing step. And because these XICs can be generated with a very narrow extraction window, since we measure the mass spectrometer generate the MSMS fragment with very high resolution. So this enable better quality of quantitation and as well as detection, and in a large sample, like a very complex sample, especially covering the very low abundant as well as medium or high abundant analytes can be covered in a single run. This is called swath acquisition. So in the swath acquisition, the isolation windows are actually designed, need to be designed before starting the experiment, and that is the tricky point here. This actually this two type of instrument in SWAT we can use in SciEx instrument. One is triple top, another is Q top, and it enables a large number of Q1 isolation window to be used in an LC time frame with no loss in quantitation quality. So up to 100 MSMS in 1 second, that is such kind of acquisition rate can be achieved. So it is possible even with a UPLC scale chromatography, like a peak with say typically 8 to 10 second, it is possible to get enough number of data point. And even in 6600 series instrument, it's possible to do 200 Q1 windows per cycle. So this is the so if you see that in the, one dimension, that means in the column when passing, so this is the retention time in one dimension. Another dimension we can filter the ions in terms of M by Z window. Okay, and the third dimension is the MSMS data, the fragment that can be extracted with a very narrow extraction window, typically like 0.02 or 0.01 Dalton extraction window. So this actually give a balance between the specificity and the sensitivity. So the cycle time depends upon the number of steps into accumulation time. So accumulation time can be reduced down to 10 millisecond. That is the highest speed can offer by the instrument, and the number of steps, that is the number of swath window we can consider, like say 100 window with a 10 millisecond accumulation time can give the cycle time around 1 second. So 1 second cycle time definitely for UPLC scale analysis like 10 second peak width, we can able to get minimum 10 data points across the peak. So that is the way we can do. Now, there is another approach has come that is called variable window swath acquisition. In the variable window swath acquisition, sometime what happen, like say for typical proteomics experiment, most of the cases the tryptic peptide, like for bottom-up approach, we normally digest the protein by specific enzyme like say trypsin or chymotrypsin. So or maybe gluci we are using. Mostly trypsin is used. So tryptic peptide normally like say mostly 5 or 6 amino acid peptide up to say 30 amino acid or 35 amino acid peptide. Mostly these are the M by Z region. And since we are analyzing the molecule in electrospray ionization, so mostly the peptide will be either doubly, triply or quadruply charged. So considering all this aspect, the mass range normally falling from say 300 to 350, from 350 to say 1250 up to say 1400. That is the mass range we need to deal with. So based on this concept, we can run a ID or DDA kind of workflow for the same sample, and then using there is a calculator called variable window swath calculator. So that window we can use, that calculator can be used to design the variable window for swath acquisition. So this window calculation can be done using this calculator, but based on the previous DDA data of the same sample. So in some cases, say M by Z, say 500 to 700 region, mostly you will find the peptides. So there's a dense region. And after say 800 or 900, you up to say 1200, the density is not that great. So based on the density graph, we can maintain. You can maintain this window size. So smaller the window, the more the specificity. That means the overlapping peptide may not come within the same window if I reduce the window size. So like say up to, we can go up to say 3 Dalton window. So the specificity for peak parentyme selection for doing this kind of swath MSMS analysis can be greater using this variable window swath acquisition. So this is a good strategy. So for a real time data, we can make the method using this variable window swath acquisition. So this increases the specificity for quantification. So here one example, if you see that like using 25 Dalton swath window, that is actually when this technology came in the market. That time people are using 25 Dalton fixed swath window with say in this example accumulation time, that means MSMS scan time is only about 75 millisecond. Whereas if you can see in the left pane, there are many different peaks are coming. Maybe the real peak is eluting around 31.11. This is the XIC, extracted ion chromatogram of many different fragment ions. They are the XIC of all these fragment ions should come same time because they belongs to the same peptide. So XIC, the retention time is 31.1. That is the accurate retention time. But along with that, there are other peaks with same color or different color at neighboring peaks. So that these are all interferences. So if I go to the right pane where we use 100 variable window, that means number of window now increase. Earlier it was 25 Dalton, roughly like 34 fixed window. Now it is 100 variable window, and accumulation time also reduced to 25 millisecond accordingly to adjust the cycle time. Now you can see that interference has removed significantly, and we can able to get the required peak with a proper peak grouping at particular retention time. Here it is 31.09 minutes. So this is one example where the effect of this variable window swath actually improve the data quality. So tighter windows can in some cases provide improved specificity, reduce noise, and provide better peak group detection. This is one example where the EGA and then EGA plus MEK inhibitor, like for phosphorylation analysis, how swath can be used. This is one example. Is one research publication from there. I have taken this example where we can see that like different time points, samples can be trypsin digested, the protein sample can be trypsin digested and then enriched by IMAC, and then we can do like fractionation to generate the ion library, because in swath acquisition anyway you have to have the ion library which works in the background, and then using the so you can, if you see here the different fractions, we could identify 3700 almost protein and 20,000 peptides using the software called Protein Pilot. And here the study is for identification of the phosphorylated peptide. And here you can see that after that we can run the sample in a single like SWAT run, and then identify and also able to quantify different phosphorylated peptides. So this is one pane where the PeakView software pane, where we can able to see the XIC of the fragment ion and also TIC of different samples. And also in the right side, we can able to see the library data and the pink color one, and the d-isotopic peaks, and also the MSMS spectra of the SWAT data. So how it is overlapping with the library data, that is also showing in the software. So this is, and then from the same peptide at different location of phosphorylation, it is possible to do extracted ion chromatogram of the peptide and then identify the site of the phosphorylation. And it is also possible using the peak area of all this fragment ion. It is possible to get the relative quantitation of the different forms of phosphorylation. So same sequence, but different location, the phosphate group, the serine, at different serine location, the phosphate group is attached. So this way we can able to identify as well as quantify the phosphorylated peptide. No risk of missing size due to dynamic exclusion in data dependent strategy. Sometime you may miss in the DDA these peptides. Sometimes it may be because of the very low abundant, or maybe the criteria what you are putting, or the gradient length what we are using, or the number of candidate ions you are targeting for MSMS may be small. All this condition, because of this condition, it is possible that you may miss some of the forms, phosphorylated forms. So, but in SWAT, it is possible to cover most of the forms. So this is the identification of different phosphorylated peptide. Also, it is possible to like different time points, we can able to see the trend, like say 0 minute, 3.7 minutes, 7 minutes, up to 60 minutes. This is this level of, or the intensity of the peaks monitored, and we can able to see the relative abundance of the particular phosphorylated peptide across different time points. And also this is possible to do PCA, principal component analysis, for different sample type of different time points, and then group it, possible to get the score and loading plot here, and also get the differentially expressed phosphoproteins. Substantial number of proteins in EGF signaling pathway are quantified in SWAT acquisition strategy. SWAT also can be used for the different other analysis, like one is called host cell protein studies. So this is actually for biopharma industries. These host cell proteins are very low in abundance, and also very difficult to detect, and to get a very wider dynamic range, like very high abundant. When you have high abundant proteins present, in presence of high abundant protein, it is possible to detect like the high abundant antibodies present in presence of the higher antibody. It is possible to detect all the impurity proteins, like process driven proteins. So these are called host cell protein. When in the biosynthetic process, this protein is getting synthesized. So these host cell proteins also can be detected with a low ppm level, like say 10 ppm or 5 ppm level, using this SWAT technology. So there is no need of two-dimensional separation. In one-dimensional, using the SWAT technology, it is possible to get very wider dynamic range. Then it is also possible to get the sequence variant analysis using this SWAT technology. And also modification studies, like user don't know about the modification, or suspecting some of the modification may be present in the sample, and because of the like data independent approach, it is possible to get all the modified peptide identification with good sequence coverage, good MSMS matching coverage. Another things I would like to emphasize on regarding the SWAT acquisition is the microflow swath acquisition. The swath, normally this nanoflow people, they are using like sort of complex sample like 1.5 hour run or 1 hour run or 2 hours run or more than that based on the column length. But like for getting for clinical sample, as for example, here the number of samples will be huge and there can be a lot of biological replicates. So to cover so many samples in a very short period of time is the requirement. For discovery approach, very long run is like people are using, but for like validation or kind of targeted analysis, or I would say like in a small run time, we can able to cover many different proteins. If we able to cover many different proteins with both qualitative and quantitative information, then it will be useful for clinical application, especially or any industrial scale. We can able to achieve that if you want to achieve. So for that, like switching from nano flow to the micro flow is nowadays a new trend. So what is the difference between the nano flow LC and the micro flow LC? Nano flow LC is offer higher sensitivity than higher flow, and the sample consumption is very low and it's pretty slow, requires careful setup also. And nano flow uses like few silica tips, whereas microflow LC is robust and fast injection, and we can use like typical high flow source with a specified probe, yeah, or electrode, then reduce sensitivity to nano, consumes little bit more sample than nano. So that is the difference between the nano flow and microflow. Okay. So typically, if you see that 75 micron to 100 micron column ID is used in the nanoflow, where the LLOQ for the same sample maybe say 1 if I compare with a microflow with a flow rate say 4 microliter per minute with a 300 micron ID column, maybe the LLOQ will be like 3 times more. So that means the sensitivity, like the sample amount you need to load almost 3 to 4 times if we compare with the nano. But the robustness or the runtime significantly reduce, and robustness can increase significantly. That is one of the important, like percent CB for your run should be less than say 10%. But in nano, you may have to like restrict to say 20 or 25%. So that is the good thing from the micro side. And so from nano to micro flexibility in LC configuration. So some of nowadays one LC like 2D kind of LC can be configured here. So same LC can be used for nano as well as micro flow. Just in the high flow mode, you have to change the electrode like 25 micron to 50 micron ID electrode, and it is possible to fix with the mass spectrometer very easily. So this is one example where we can see that from 1 hour per sample, there is 1 hour run time and 43-minute gradient, enough number of good number of identification obtained for this one case. It is showing MSMS resolution is greater than 15 to 30,000 and variable window swath was used for analyzing the data, and sample load is from 1 to 8 microgram based on the complexity of the sample, and multiple instruments test. So this is one plasma sample, like 42 plasma sample run in a large batch, and it measures the retention time stability of IRT peptide dosed in. So with the sample like IRT, the calibration, retention time calibration peptide spiked with the sample and then run, and then 10 second or less variation across the 42 injections. So the retention time variation is within 10 seconds. That is very good. For data independent acquisition, this is also very important to get good retention time stability across the sample. And then so this is a microflow of HEC cell line and 8 microgram load with a 100 quadruple one windows. So 100 variable windows, and we could get good dynamic range of the fragments. So dynamic range starting from say 100 to 10 to the power 6. That means almost 10 to the power 4, greater than 10 to the power 4 orders of dynamic range. So that is a very good, like very low abundant as well as high abundant fragment ion can be used for quantification. And mostly this frag percentage CB, if you see that 70, 75 to 80% or more than that, falling within the percent CB is close to 10%, less than 10% in the peptide and protein level. There is a comparison between the microflow to nanoflow swath, like we could identify and quantify like approximately 6,000 proteins or 5,922 proteins with say 3 to 4 hours total runtime and 2 to 3 hours gradient. With a sample load in nano is typically 1 microgram, and same sample loaded approximately 8 microgram on the column, and we achieve 4,963 proteins. But the run time has reduced to 1 hour. So this way we can increase the throughput by loading a little more amount of sample, but we will get better retention time stability, lower percentage CB for quantification. So we can able to use better, able to get better quantitative data using this microflow LC. So, so this SWAT technology and same sample analyzed in different laboratory in the globe to judge the reproducibility for quantitative and qualitative performance. And there is a huge, means there is a good reproducibility observed between one lab to the other lab. So inter-lab reproducibility also reported. This Nature Communication paper gave good like idea about the SWAT technology, use of SWAT technology for both qualitative and quantitative analysis. This is showing, this paper showing robustness, reproducibility, different inter-lab analysis. So the final slide, that is SWAT acquisition is a simpler strategy for the detection and quantification of analysis in complex matrices. MSMS speed and resolution key to enable more narrower Q1 window for increased specificity. SWAT acquisition can be further optimized for specific matrices by using variable window acquisition approaches. It improves the peak group detection, improve the signal to noise analysis for quantitation, improve depth of coverage. And variable window calculator is very easy to use because if you have a DDA data or IDA data, it is possible to load the peak list to the variable window SWAT calculator, and then the calculator automatically create the acquisition method that can be uploaded in the acquisition software, and then software build the variable window method automatically. So this way it is now become very user friendly, and this can improve the quality of the data. So that's from my side. Yeah.
All right. Dr. Deepankar, thank you very much for sharing your experience about SWAT technology. Whether any quick question, one question we can take as we are running into the slightly getting late for the next session, but we can take one quick question if anybody wants to ask. I'm sure participants really appreciate that there are different approaches of validating your proteomics data, and SWAT definitely provides a very novel way of looking for data acquisition in data independent manner. And we have been discussing in the course as well. There are different technology. This is more specific to the triple top and SciEx, but the concept of data independent acquisition has really become very important in the field of proteomics nowadays. and how best we can leverage from this and get more quantification obtained for a large number of proteins is really going to be crucial, because given the need for validating your targets, you have to come up with these approaches. You just cannot go with only DDA based methods. Dr. Deepankar, I think we would like to close this session with really thanks to you for